Thank you very much for taking your time to view 901 Montego Court and what is the problem. This is the lot that I purchased in 2000 next door to my existing homestead. I spent over $5,000 improving the cul-de-sac to make it one of the nicest on Montego Island. I installed this driveway pad and sidewalk based on a permit issued in 2008 per an agreement with Steve Olmsted that he would drop all code enforcement issues if I installed a sidewalk and driveway pad at the end of a dead-end street and planted bushes around the center of the lot so people could not park everywhere. I complied with all those requests, but then unfortunately, after complying, was told that I couldn't use the driveway that I had been using for 20 years since purchasing the lot and performing this work. Please appreciate that I did all this work in the year 2000, and for 7 years no one complained. When I completed the project, the final thing the city cited me for was lions 3.5 inches too tall. Unfortunately, the complainant 20 feet away, a code enforcement judge, literally got special treatment in the fact that our code enforcement supervisor didn't cite him but cited me. A sad example of selective code enforcement. The complainant has complained that my yard waste was too close to the road when it was 60 feet away, when he keeps his days in advance right on the sidewalk. Why am I cited when he is not? I'm cited for parking my cars on my stone driveway, which I've done for years. I did work in the right-of-way at the complainant's request and was cited. It's not fair, the double standard that our code enforcement department has applied to me 7 years after I completed this work. I hold no malice against my neighbor who lives at 911 or 911. It's an unfortunate hate. He complained that water was draining into his backyard. You can see clearly on my side that there's no silt. You can clearly see on the other neighbor's side that there is silt. The water department, with Angelo from Public Works, cited that 90% of the water came from the home behind that was brand new. They cite me for vegetation, but you can see my neighbor's backyard. He has a gravel driveway, like I originally did before the city unfortunately had dumped toxic road waste. You can see that he illegally parks on the stones for the same thing that he has complained to the city and that I've been given a warning to. Please understand that 6 of the homes on my street don't meet the requirements and citation that the city has unfortunately cited me for. All of these issues are insignificant and should never need the attention of our code enforcement department. I'm cited for vegetation when this is the first house. This is the home next door to the complainant. 6 other homes have the same issue, but they only cite me. I take great love, care, and energy to make my property a showplace here on our island. I treat Montego Island as a place that I love and endear. I have been forced to plant hundreds of plants, and through an unfortunate 2008 drought and 2009 freeze, I've had to expend massive energy to keep these things alive, all based on the hate of an individual who cannot forgive and forget no matter what I do. If any of you have the ability to communicate to this individual who's 80 years old, has the sweetest wife in the world, has a little dog, Sammy, that I love dearly, if you can get through to his heart, it would give me great peace, because all I want to do is truly live in peace, which the deed to my property gives me the right to do. This thing's way beyond anything that I can control. You can see I go to great effort to keep my property looking beautiful. The neighbor behind me, Jim, has absolutely no complaint and has cited. The city came back and insisted that I plant 50% vegetation. I was grandfathered, stated by Steve Olmsted, but unfortunately, Mr. Wardell has gone to the effort. He required me to plant an additional 1,200 square feet of vegetation up and beyond after everything, because he wanted to disavow the driveway that unfortunately the city had given me a permit in 2008 to install the driveway pad. But I installed the additional 950 square feet and complied. I planted beach sunflowers, which is a native plant to the island here, along the fence line, and they flourished like crazy. I planted them in the center of the lot as I promised Steve I would do, and unfortunately, numerous times they were poisoned by something. I have had my hedges, ficus hedge. You can see the ficus hedge here will grow up eventually, so you won't even be able to see this lot from the street. You can see the beautiful birds of paradise that I planted in the beach sunflowers from the front. Those ficus hedge right there will grow so tall you won't even be able to see the lot from the road. You can see how dense it is, you can't even see the neighbor or complainant's home. This is where I kept all my yard waste before he complained. It's a shot down the street of the beautiful royal palms and bougainvillea I planted in the front. I've gone to a labor of love to truly make this a beautiful place. And the amount of complaints, I should not be forced to do anything. I truly thank you for taking the time and energy to have listened to my story and understand the situation. I would appreciate immensely you picking up the phone, even if you don't want to leave a name and phone number, and please call our Community Development Director, 389-5004, or our City Manager, who is in charge of all city staff, at 389-5001, and please leave your messages. You can see these plants were poisoned. My friend Scott Square of Squares Landscaping gave me good, healthy beach sunflower plants that I planted. They would have grown quickly into they're like a weed and a ground cover. But somebody came across and poisoned them. That's a view from the back of my property. And please appreciate, this lot is at the back of a dead-end street behind the wall of a parking lot. I go to great effort to keep my hedges in the place looking immaculate at all times. How I wish this man could have peace. I'm grandfathered because I did this work before. Unfortunately, Mr. Wardell has twice told me I lied. I spent so much time having to maintain these plants that I have been forced to plant. If you visit me today, you'll find that they're all alive, and I've done a great job of keeping them that way. I truly thank you. I sure would appreciate if you would take the time and energy to leave your words with our city manager. I pray that the outcome from this situation is that they straighten the record out, but more importantly, that no folks should have to go through the abuse that I've had to go through. Isn't it sad that people have poisoned things? Thanks very much, and I sure do appreciate your time. God bless you. Have a great